When God is your chauffeur, you know you're going to get where you need to go on time. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction for Driving Miss Daisy. So, this is a donation reward for Venom, as usual. And what I know about this movie is it stars Morgan Freeman, and I don't know who else. I just know it's Morgan Freeman. And I know this is about him being a driver for a, I believe, wealthy white woman. Um, so I'm very sure there's going to be some commentary in here, some discussions about race and whatnot. I don't know, like, otherwise what this is about. It's a movie that I've heard talked about a lot in terms of Morgan Freeman's catalog of films, but like outside of just I guess the most generic premise, I don't know the actual plot of this in any way. Like I said, I also don't know who else is in this. I don't know who like plays Miss Daisy. I don't know who plays anyone else. I don't know anything about that. I don't even think I've seen much of any clips or screenshots from this film. So I'm going in pretty blind. Um Now, I know there's been other movies and some even I think released more in recent years, like legitimately very recent years, about a wealthy white person or whatnot having a black driver and whatnot, and the kind of social and political commentary that goes along with that. But I don't know like how big this movie was when it came out and how big of an impact it made in regards to race relations and whatnot. I could see it kind of going either way. Either I could see this movie actually being like a big thing and making a big difference, or I could see it like just not really doing well. It really depends on when it came out, and I actually don't know when this came out. I think it was the 80s. But I'm not 100% sure on that. And that, of course, I don't know when it takes place either, because that's an entirely different question. So it's just a matter of giving it a chance to tell its own story. I don't. There's also a question of is this based on a true story or not? If it's just like about like a black chauffeur for a wealthy white woman and maybe like how that connects and everything that goes along with that, it could be based on a true story. But I just, like I said, I don't know because I don't know anything else about this. Um, but I'm definitely excited to find out. I'm definitely interested because, like I said, I don't know how well it did when it came out, but I know, like, in obviously the many years since, it has received a very positive reputation. People do talk about this movie very positively, and I'm curious to see why, if nothing else. So hopefully, it lives up to the reputation that it's got. Because with me, you never fucking know. But all of that being said, there is a lot of other great content on the channel you should check out as well. Because every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube reactions, or YouTube adjacent. Basically, anything that's in a series or a movie, it kind of goes in that slot. And we kind of just take it from there. One-offs and specials and YouTube videos, stuff like that, goes in that slot. We also do movie reactions such as this one every Saturday and Sunday. They are recorded during the week, but I upload them on the weekends just so every day has something going on for it. We also do a couple Let's Plays on the channel. Every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we upload Spider-Man 2. I've really been enjoying this so far. It's been my first experience doing a Let's Play for the PS5, and I think it's turned out really successful. The first 9 parts do have some audio issues, just to let you know. But those seem to get. I've been working to get those rectified from parts 10 and on. It's just an issue of when it's my first time using a capture card for a PS5 for a Let's Play. So just a lot of things I had to get used to there. But we are also starting this week on Saturdays, or I guess on the day you're seeing this, Let's Play for Anno Mutationum. This is a Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. It's a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. And if you want to know more about how this new system works for that, you can go to the announcement video for the PS5 Game Reward Month. Just look that up on the channel. You should find it with no issue. But if you look that up, it'll tell you exactly how to take part in it if you wish. But basically, the short of it is you're basically paying for the game for me to play. And it can be any game. It doesn't matter. And it's completely optional, of course. So you don't have to worry about that if you don't have the money or don't want to. But it's a fun way for you guys to have an input on games for me to play for the channel, not just different shows and movies for me to react to. It's just an interesting little way to keep having your input factor into things. I think that's a fun idea. But obviously, it's completely optional, so you can choose whether or not you even want to do it. But that being said, we're just going to get into this and see what this movie has in store. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because, yes, we do redirect all of our reactions on this channel. Not just to the shows, but to the movies as well. This is just because of YouTube's copyright system. You know how broken it is. So we have to just try to do our best to avoid any possible channel strikes or even, God forbid, any channel termination that might come our way from these issues. I've dealt with a channel termination in the past, don't want to deal with it again. So we're just playing safe to avoid any possible issues with copyright. But on the plus side, that does mean all of you, yes, all of you, get to see the full reactions for free. No paywalls, no Patreons. You don't even have to sync up your own copy. You just go down to the link in the description below, follow it to the reaction, and watch the entire unedited reaction to the movie or show or whatever for free. And after you watch it, you can come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts. And will not only contain spoilers to the movie, but also just my general thoughts on it and various other things on the channel, maybe. Depending on if there's a lot to talk about. So yeah, all of that being said, I hope that you enjoy the reaction. And for now, I'm Connie, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I didn't think it was necessary to bring out the ring light. The lighting's fine for the moment. But anyway, so I looked up the song because I wanted to see if I could figure out where I heard it before or something. And the only thing I could find is that apparently people have noted that there's a similarity between it and there's this plantation song called Shortening Bread, which is definitely something I had heard before. But that is not it. No, I've heard this specific song before. I have heard that specific tune before, and I don't know where. Maybe I've heard it like in just random videos or something, or just randomly, like maybe I've been at a store and they just randomly played it on the speakers for some reason. I don't know. But I've definitely heard it before. I couldn't figure out where for the life of me. So this movie actually took place over a lot longer of a period of time than I realized. It took place over 25 years. And that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't realize it was taking place over that long because you can't really tell watching the movie, if we're being honest. It's like it's obviously taking place over a period of time. You get that. And you can tell the characters are aging, so it's taking place over a somewhat notable amount of time. But you can't quite tell, like, right off the bat and just by watching exactly how the time periods are going by. And so I did have to look that up, and yeah, it is 25 years. She's 72 at the beginning and 97 at the very last scene. Um, which is like a notable amount of time for a movie to take place over. And obviously, there's been plenty of movies out there that take place over longer periods of time and whatnot. So it's not like it's even the longest in terms of that. There's movies that take place over generations. But once I got that figured out, I kind of got a better feel for like how this all like went down and everything. Because like I was, as you know, kind of trying to figure out exactly when this took place and everything, and like they mentioned like 66 or whatever, and it's like, oh, but then it's like I was kind of thinking about it after I was like, oh, that's when this is. Okay. I was kind of thinking about it. It's like, wait, no. It's definitely been a notable amount of time. This definitely didn't start in the 60s, did it? And I was right. So yeah, it gives me more of a feel for like just the movies, I guess you could say timeline in that regard. Although it's still not 100% clear. I'd probably have to watch it multiple times or like even read a specific discussion about like when each specific scenes take place. Um, to really get a feel for it. Now, I believe I was talking about it in the pre-thoughts. Like I didn't know like much of anything about this film. I didn't know exactly where it went. I just knew the very bare basics. Um, and that kind of went into as well as I didn't know how well this film performed or anything. I knew it has like a notable following now, then that people really talk really well about it, but I didn't know like how well it did when it first came out. Apparently it did freaking amazing. This movie won a bunch of awards, and as of this year is still the most recent PG film to win Best Picture. No PG film has won Best Picture since this. That is insane to think about. And this movie, let me see here. By the way, came out in 1989. So I did say mid to late 80s, I was thinking, and that does seem to be the case. It is based on a play, which we found out while watching. It did mention that. It's based off of the 1987 play by Alfred Urey. And Morgan Freeman actually is reprising his role in this movie from the play. He actually originated in the play off Broadway. So this is actually a role that he did prior to the movie, which is really cool. That's like always cool when a Broadway or off Broadway actor reprises their role for an actual film. It's just cool because they like kind of made that role in a lot of ways. But yeah, this had huge commercial success. It received 9 nominations at the Academy Awards and won 4 of them. Best Picture, Best Actress for Jessica Tandry, who was Daisy. Best Makeup for the aging makeup and whatnot, which it was actually really good. And Best Adapted Screenplay. And like I mentioned, as of 2024, it is the most recent PG-rated film to have won Best Picture. It just did exceptionally well. It was just an absolute hit, and was exceptionally well received. According to this, and as always, take it with a grain of salt, form your own opinions. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film an 85% rating, with the critical consensus on the website stating, while it's fueled in part by outdated stereotypes, which to a degree, yes, but I'll get into that in a bit here. Driving Miss Daisy takes audiences on a heartwarming journey with a pair of outstanding actors. And it seems like most people are giving it like, let's see here. A score of 81 out of 100, A+. Gene Siskel declared it one of the best films of 89. Roger Ebert called it a film of great love and patience, etc., etc. In other words, it's just exceptionally well received. And let's actually talk about that now, though. Let's talk about the outdated stereotypes, because there are some in here, and it's just because of the sign of the times. This was a movie that was made, released at least in 89, based on a play that came a few years before. Let's be honest, there were stereotypes around that time. There absolutely were. And those did seep a little bit into the movie. It's going to happen. Whether it's out of ill will or not, which I don't think it was, based on just the message of the story, I very much don't think by any means it is intentional. It's just a case of like, what I talked about at one point in the movie. Little things just kind of seep through because of the way you're raised, the things you hear throughout your nurturing and whatnot. Things that you don't even realize are stereotypes and whatnot can peek their way through just on accident, really. It's not out of any ill will or any like racist intentions. It's just because things, let's be honest, for a long, long time were really bad. And shit was chock full of negative stereotypes about people of color. And that seeped a lot into culture. And we just have to acknowledge that and understand that. So yeah, there is some issues there, but it's not. It doesn't, I feel, take away from the message, themes, or general emotion of this film, which is top notch. Like this movie, like, I mean, obviously I broke at the end, because I think it's because of their relationship. Like I said, their relationship started off with her being more like aggressive towards him and like not wanting to accept him, not because of like his race or anything, but because she was just so unbelievably stubborn and didn't want to accept help. But as she eventually started warming up to him, she started accepting help. She started realizing her prejudices, and she even realized that as a Jewish woman, she faced her own prejudices. The bombing of the synagogue, like, honestly, if it weren't for that, I don't know if she would have like gotten invested in Martin Luther King Jr. and everything and gotten to be like a believer in his statements and words and speeches and all. I think that kind of like woke her up in a way. And I like that, because that's very realistic. A lot of times people have to go through something like that to understand how things are. And they absolutely shouldn't need to. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from how bigoted I used to be in certain ways, and how I had to get woken up from that by a lot of people basically like forcing me to actually, listen and understand shit. I've talked about this plenty of times in the past, but if you're a new viewer, the shorthand is I basically used to be excessively homophobic, transphobic, etc., etc. And ironic, because I ended up realizing I am queer and trans and all. But beyond that, it's like I had to be like told by like friends and everything all the time, and had to be like have it constantly like hammered into my head that I was wrong and that I was, being bigoted, because I didn't realize. I genuinely didn't. but I was in the wrong. And once I started to realize, once it, like, all these people around me kept, like, just hammering it into me, I started to look into it. And I realized it's like, oh shit, I am being terrible. And I worked to change myself. And it didn't happen overnight, it was a process. Because I basically had to unlearn things that I grew up learning. I had to unlearn things I was taught and that society around me just put me into. I had to take accountability for my words and actions as well. And I eventually was able to change myself. But it took time, it took years. And it did help me understand a lot about myself because of that, which allowed me to eventually come out. So, yeah. It's like I definitely understand the feeling of that because I've been there. Maybe not in this exact specific circumstance and with these specific examples, but I have been there. And it's very realistic that she had to just be woken up like that. Especially because, like, again, when this starts, she's like 72. That's pretty up there, and a lot of older people can a lot of times be set in their ways. And it's very hard to convince them to change, very hard to convince them that they're wrong. And we see at multiple points in this movie that she is very much changing her opinion and being shown through firsthand experience that she's been wrong on a lot of things. And that's great, and it's great to see. The relationship between our main actors here was fantastic. They had amazing chemistry. They felt like they were really becoming best friends. It came across as extremely natural and believable. And Dan Aykroyd, being sort of a side character here as Daisy's son, he did a great job too. Dan Aykroyd's usually pretty damn good, whether it's in a comedy or a more serious role. And this movie had comedy in it, but it is absolutely a more serious film. I would consider this a drama, for sure, rather than comedy or anything else like that. And Dan Aykroyd's character was a serious enough character. Like, he had some jokey moments with Hoke and whatnot, but he was a serious enough character, and it shows Dan Aykroyd's range where he doesn't always have to be silly and goofy like in Ghostbusters or Christmas with the Cranks. I know, really random couple of references there, especially Christmas with the Cranks, but I actually like that movie, so deal with it. But yeah, I just think that that this movie really handles that kind of stuff well, with how the characters evolve over the course of the film, and the actors portray, like, each side of that extremely well. Like, Daisy's actress, you absolutely believe she's this stuck in her ways older woman at the beginning of the film. You absolutely believe that she's this stubborn and grumpy and all of that. But at the end, when she's like telling Hoke, "You're my best friend," and he's feeding her pie and everything in the home, it's like you absolutely believe that too, because you've gone on this journey with them and you've seen her evolve, and you've seen Hoke evolve. You see him at first kind of like just taking it in as it goes, but you eventually see him actually confront her about something she does to him. When she asks him to join her, very underhandedly, on, like, when they're pretty much already at the dinner, the Martin Luther King dinner, you can tell he's offended by it. Like, the way she asked him specifically, and he actually kind of snaps at her. And yeah, she doesn't exactly handle it well after either. She goes in alone and everything. But you can see while she's listening to Dr. King speak that she understood what she had done was wrong there. And throughout the rest of the film, you see how she's changed again, how she's grown again. That's good character work. The music in this, besides just the song, the main theme with the part that is obviously very familiar to me, outside of that, the music in this very much just works. Nothing feels overdone or overplayed or anything. It all feels very natural to the time period, um, to the characters, to the setting, to everything that this movie is set up as. It all feels just it works, and there's certain points where it just really is put in the right places, the right songs in the right places. You know what I mean? um, the visuals and everything are good. Like there's good directing and cinematography and whatnot. And despite the fact that it's hard to kind of keep track in terms of the years and how long it's been and everything, I do like the way that the scenes blend into each other. It's done in a very authentic way to where you never really end up like questioning it too hard. And I appreciate that. Um I just really like this film. Um, I was talking in the pre thoughts about how we were gonna see if this like lived up to what people say about it, and I think it surpassed that. Like genuinely, I think this is like just that damn good. Because again, if it weren't, those emotions at the end wouldn't have hit so hard. And I'm genuinely kind of wondering if other people who have watched this have had that same experience where at the end they just inexplicably start crying at the pie scene, not even like completely understanding why. Just it's coming to realize that it's because of all the emotions and all it's set up. And you know what this reminds me of? Um, this is gonna be a funny comparison, I feel, but bear with me. And I'm just gonna say right now, there will be spoilers for She-Ra and the Princesses of Power here, and I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but it is technically a major spoiler. I'm not gonna go too deep into details, so hopefully that'll help. But just in case, if you want to skip ahead like a minute or two, skip ahead a minute or two. Um, I'm gonna only briefly mention it here. Okay, just wanted to warn you here, but it's a very brief spoiler, but I would count it as a spoiler. Okay, so I'll get to that. Skip ahead. We'll get to that now. Okay, so in She-Ra and the Princess of Power, there's a character named Madame Raz, and she seems really kooky and crazy and everything. But you start to learn more about her as the series goes on, and it kind of comes to a head when you've learned all this stuff about the previous She-Ra, Mara, and and you see Madame Raz place a pie on the seat in honor of her, and it breaks so many people. The pie scene with Madame Raz remembering Mara and everything breaks people with She-Ra, and it reminded me of this because it's another pie scene that broke me. So I think that was just a really fun comparison. Um, because it just ties into the emotional aspect of pie, weirdly enough. Pie is emotional. But yeah, like I said, spoilers over. By the way, spoilers for She-Ra over. Um, that being said, I just really love this movie. I I really wish I had seen it sooner because I love Morgan Freeman. I love Dan Aykroyd, but I've just never seen this movie, and I'm glad I got to experience it watching it with you guys, though. It led to a good reaction, I feel. Um, this was great. This was absolutely a great film. Um, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Tell me in the comments what you thought of this film. If there's anything I missed, please tell me. If there's any like specific details that would have helped me understand certain things a little better, please let me know. But I do want to mention very briefly that there is a lot of other great content on this channel that you can check out. Every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube reactions, or YouTube adjacent. Basically, anything that doesn't fit into a series or a movie reaction, shorts, specials, stuff like that, I basically count as a YouTube reaction. So we do those. Obviously, it includes specifically YouTube related stuff as well, and it's almost always donation rewards, anyways. But we also do movie reactions just like this one on Saturdays and Sundays. They're recorded earlier in the week, uploaded on the weekends, just to make sure that every day has something happening. We also have a couple Let's Plays on the channel. Every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we have a Spider-Man 2 Let's Play. Really enjoying going through that. It's been an absolute blast. And there are some audio issues on the first 9 parts, but after you get past that, once you get to part 10, the audio issues do subside. And either way, I've really been enjoying it anyway. We also have a new Let's Play starting this week on Saturdays for Anno Mutationem. This is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. So thank you, Matthew, for voting on this. Or for not voting on this, for donating for this. That's what I meant. If you want to know how all of that works for donating for a game, just check out the announcement video for PS5 Game Reward Months. You search that on the channel, you should find it without problem. PS5 Game Reward Months, and it'll tell you exactly how to handle this, how to donate for this, all of those details. Or you can just check in with me on the comments if you really want to. That works too. But all of that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, as always. And once again, let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. For now, I thank you so much. I thank you, Venom, for donating for this. And I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.